Hello, my name is Marilyn Smart, and I teach applied voice lessons and the series of diction classes at the University of North Florida School of Music. I'm happy to be here to take part in the Jacksonville SINGS virtual JaxSings with you. Today, I'm going to tell you some stories about a life in music, and I hope you will enjoy them. So, here goes. When I was in high school in East Peoria, Illinois, I took part in a performance of the Handel's Messiah. After the last performance, I was walking on air. Words could not express my feelings. I was so inspired by the sounds coming from the huge orchestra and chorus. The music was just powerful. I felt it. This was a peak moment in my life. Sometimes I think of it as a pivotal one. Another peak moment was looking in my senior yearbook and finding out what my high school choir director, Mr. Foyles, wrote. He wrote, "You will always be involved in the making of music." Smart man, he knew me better than I knew myself. So, to you I say, remember the peak moments. As a musician, performer, and teacher, you will have great influence on many people in many ways. I began college at the Indiana University School of Music in Bloomington, Indiana, as a naive Midwestern elementary education major. After the first semester, I switched to music education, partly because all my friends were having so much more fun than I was. During my time there, I took part in many choral performances and operas, but I lacked confidence in myself. After my senior recital, I immediately changed back into casual clothes. My teacher was the first to come backstage to congratulate me, and he said, no, change back. This is the way you accept congratulations from friends and family. I did. For the first time, I was not confident enough to treat myself as a performer yet. The point is, if you're shy or if you lack self-confidence, remember that your job is to make the music come alive. Respect the music. Remember, without you, the performer, the music would just be marks on a page. After undergraduate studies, I married and got a job supporting my husband. My gap year. When I studied voice with Madame Harshaw, I performed the role of Marie in the opera Wozzeck by Alban Berg. The stage director was Ross Allen, and he said after he saw my performance, "If I had known about your talent, I would have used you in my earlier productions." But my voice would not have been the same. By then, my voice had matured, my acting skills improved, and that's how it goes. Your voice will develop with age. Be patient, keep learning, and keep singing. I was lucky to marry a pianist, a composer, and all-around nice guy who encouraged me to continue with my studies. We performed together often. I studied at the Hochschule für Musik in Cologne, Germany, for a year. Being immersed in the German culture, I was lucky enough to learn German language there as well, to study it. While I was there, I sang with the Kölnische Opernschule, which was the opera school, where I learned the Italian roles of Mimi and Fiordiligi from Così in German. That was their custom. That was their tradition. So it was good for me to learn the German language. So, language learning is imperative for singers. It's an obvious plus for us singers learning the repertoire. But class learning is important. Still, nothing improves your understanding of a language as much as total immersion. Next, a Ford Foundation MENC grant, and those letters stand for Music Educators National Conference. There I sang the soprano solo. This grant brought us to Alaska. That's the first part that you need to know. There I sang the soprano solo of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony for the first time. Amazing again. While we were there, we were invited to tour on the Alaska Music Trail, begun in 1950. The previous attraction on the trail was opera star Marilyn Horne. That was serious. Whoa. Our trail took us to Nome, Unalakleet, Shaktoolik, Juneau, and Sitka, and to some very interesting venues. So many stories there. My first story talks about the little town of Cordova. At that time, Cordova was economically depressed because of the 1964 earthquake. Our liaison said, "Don't bother getting all fancied up. We're just here in the library." So I didn't. And I was angry at myself for not doing that. The way we present ourselves to the audience gives them an experience which transcends the everyday, and they deserve our best. Though the performance went well and their remarks were effusive, it could have had a sharper impact. One more Alaska story. In the once Russian town of Kodiak on the Kenai Peninsula, that's where Kodiak bears come from, and they were there. Our concert was in a Russian Orthodox church. Part of the program was the Ariette oubliée of Claude Debussy. I was surprised to see about 10 men in military uniforms in the front row. They were polite and appreciative throughout, but when we began singing the French, they came alive. It was obvious they understood every word, smiling and nodding, just what you want the audience to do. Later we learned that the Russian fleet was in town, and that was a part of the Russian Navy, and their second language was French. How civilized. So the point here, I'm sure you've guessed it, is never underestimate your audience. You never know who's there. Tanglewood, Massachusetts is the summer home of the Boston Symphony Orchestra and the Berkshire Music Center. This is where I met the famous American soprano Phyllis Curtin. There at the daily master class, I watched as she taught student after student, giving them exactly what was needed for them to improve remarkably. I saw her concentrated focus to the line and her poetic interpretations, how she was able to meld the music to the poetry. Once when she demonstrated a phrase for me, honestly, my knees gave out. It was so strong. It was more than music. It was more than words. It was almost hypnosis. I thought to myself, yes, this is what I want to learn how to do. And this is what I want to teach. Her obituary in 2016 says it best. Miss Curtin's voice is altogether lovely in quality and is used with equal assurance throughout its entire range. But her concern was so exclusively with communication, that one was conscious only of the music itself. And I think that's the goal for all of us. So, study the music, Study the poetry. Give of your whole self with complete concentration to the art of singing. We moved to New Haven, Connecticut to study at Yale University. I continued studying with Phyllis. She introduced me to a different technique which involved singing by sensation. Singing through the mask, of course, inviting the passion of the material to ride out on the air/tone. And of course, the thing that we heard almost every day was, keep your thought with the development of the tone. I have many more stories, but I'll finish with this one. During that time, I gave the first performances of Gary Smart's Opals Diary, a one-woman opera which uses as its text a 6-year-old's description of living in an Oregon logging camp. Now, the process of learning an entirely new work that no one has ever done before is an exciting one. It requires a lot of work, and after you learn it, you must sing it with the confidence and ease with which you sing a Schubert song. And you, hopefully with the composer, are the ones to discern and describe the phrases, the gestures, injecting meaning with every musical and theatrical means. So this is my advice. Give yourself the exhilaration of learning something completely new. Be curious and create. And you are young. So please remember to keep an open mind, an open heart, and yes, open ears to new music and new things as you learn and grow, gradually becoming your true self. Thank you to the University of North Florida School of Music's hosting of Jacksonville Sings Virtual Week. That's hard to say. Jacksonville Sings Virtual Week. Thank you and good luck.